All advice given is for general information purposes. All legal cases are different, and you should seek the advice of your own attorney before acting or making decisions. No attorney-client privilege applies to communications on this show, and no attorney-client relationship is created by calling or writing in. Attorney Rominger practices only in Pennsylvania and maintains his primary office in Carlisle, Pennsylvania.
Hey, good afternoon again. Welcome to Weekend Appointment with Carl Rominger, show where I answer your legal questions. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I just want to remind you, go to weekendappointment.com to claim your free will if you haven't already done so. And I've got up at Facebook a pretty interesting legal quote if you want to check that out as well. And don't forget to friend me. Linda, you're on with Carl Rominger. What's your legal question?
Hi. What kind of lawyer would you use if you had to fight a school district over a child who has learning disability or developmental delay and you didn't feel you were getting the services that you're supposed to?
Okay. Repeat that again so I get it completely right. Okay.
Is there an attorney who might specialize in fighting a school district to get the services that should be provided to a learning disabled child or a developmentally delayed child that you don't feel you're getting?
Yes, there are firms that and we lawyers don't like to use the word specialized because our Supreme Court has said that we're not allowed to call ourselves specialists or experts. But there are firms that specialize in that. And an individual education plan, IEP, is one of the things that comes to mind. And yes, I'm aware of a few firms. I'm aware of a local practitioner who's been very successful in that field that I could give you off the air. I'm also aware of a larger firm down in the Bucks County area that goes around the state and does quite a bit of it as well.
Okay.
And yeah, what they do is they litigate, and of course, under the statute that applies, if they're successful, they can get their attorney's fees paid for as well.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't always cost the family in the end, although sometimes you have to pony some money up front, depending on how they look at the case. You know, I think if it's a straight winner, like the lady that showed up in my office the other day who said she was fired because she was pregnant, and the employer had put it in writing. I was like, well, that's a clear winner. I mean, you know, I don't need any money up front. Here, sign the fee agreement. Let's go. So. Yeah, I mean, it'll depend, but the short answer is yes, there are people out there who make a practice in just that area. And quite frankly, those of us who don't practice regularly in that area avoid it because it has all its own ins and outs.
Okay.
So if you contact me by email, go to weekendappointment.com. I'd be happy to send you the names of some folks.
Okay, good.
All right, Linda?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Let's see, who's next? Gary, you're on with Carl Rominger here on Weekend Appointment. What's going on?
Did you say Gary?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, I have a question. My wife was recently terminated from her job, and technically, well, I know it's an at-will state, so technically they don't need a reason to terminate her.
Right.
However, the circumstances and the reason that they give technically could be right. But there was more people involved in the situation, and she was the only one that got terminated.
Okay. So if she can show that they discriminated against her on a grounds, let me put it to you this way: for unemployment purposes, if they treat different employees unequally and under similar circumstances, then she may have an unemployment claim that will survive. If she can show that she was treated differently because she was a member of a protected class, then even though it's a work at will, she may have a claim as well. You know, they discriminate against me because I was of color or because I was a woman or I was 48 years old or whatever.
Well, I think they discriminated against her because, yeah, she was there a long time, and they could hire – the place is in trouble financially.
Right.
And they could hire somebody else to take her place much cheaper, and they didn't pay her almost $3,000 worth of vacation time.
Right. I would strongly recommend, well, first of all, that we need to check and see if we might be able to go after that. I would also strongly recommend that she pursue unemployment and then maybe consider going to Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission see if there's a de facto age discrimination claim.
What'd you say?
Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission.
Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission.
Yeah.
Okay. They said they was going to fight her getting unemployment.
Well, and they can do that. And I routinely go to those hearings for people where the employers fought it, and guess what? The employers sometimes win, so I do lose once in a while. I mean, it does happen. But on the other hand, the employers quite often aren't able to successfully defend unemployment.
They aren't?
They aren't. Quite often the employee can win those hearings, particularly with good representation.
Okay. Well, her case was they looked at one portion of it and didn't even investigate.
Well, Gary, all that's going to happen is they're going to take her written statement and their written statement and issue an order. Then she's got 30 days to appeal that and get an actual hearing, and that's what you want to do.
Get an actual hearing.
Yeah, I always take the hearing. If they deny you, I always take the hearing. Worst case scenario is the employer's not going to, the best case scenario is the employer doesn't even show up at the hearing, and then you win automatically, even if you were denied below. Worst case scenario is the hearing officer listens to everything and just, denies you again. But it can only get better with an appeal. Can't get worse.
Right.
All right?
I was just curious if she should go to EEOC about it.
Yeah, and that's what the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission will do. They will cross-file her with the federal and the state level.
Okay, and where could I get in contact with them?
You can look them up on the web. If you just type in Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission into Google, you will find them.
Okay, well, I'm not done with this because they really done her dirty.
All right, check it out, brother.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions on Weekend Appointment. Don't forget to go to weekendappointment.com where you can claim your free will. Ed.
Yes, my mother had to sue a hearing aid provider, and she won a judgment against him.
Okay.
That was about 8 months ago. Nothing's happened since that. Is there a time limit on that judgment, or how does that work from here on out?
The short answer is there is no time limit on that.
Okay.
The long answer is yes, there is, because it could go inactive, and then she would need to refresh it if after, I think, 5 or 10 years. I think it's 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Will
there be a notification about that, or you just...
No, you just have to go to the courthouse and refresh it.
Okay.
The other danger is he could go bankrupt in the meantime and discharge the debt. What she should do is come see someone like me or have her current lawyer go ahead and push to basically levy with the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
And what would happen then is the sheriff will go out and execute the judgment, and they may find themselves, going, "Oh man." You follow me?
You would be one that would do something like that?
Yeah, we could absolutely do the collection for her.
Okay. You say you're based in Carlisle?
Yep.
Okay, we're in New Freedom, so it's a little ways off, but I'm going to talk to her because I'm making you a call back then and try to set something up.
Yeah, and the answer is New Freedom. What's that, Lancaster County?
No, York County.
York County. Yeah, and, the answer is I get down to York and Lancaster quite a bit, so if we had to, we could always, when I'm down there, just sort of meet at the McDonald's or a coffee shop or something along those lines.
Oh, that would be great then. Okay, I'll give you a call and let you know when. Okay?
All right, go to weekendappointment.com to get the phone number.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, let's see here. Shane, how am I doing for my segment here? I got a minute left. Rocco, Terry, hold on. I'm going to finish up this segment. We got to go to break, and then I'll bring you guys on the air here. Oh, boy, I was talking earlier about you donate some money to somebody, and then they sue you if you don't follow through with the payment. And that was brought to our attention by Mark Virgenis, our great financial guru. And I just want to remind you here, if you do have a financial question, you want to work on your retirement, you want to figure out the best kind of life insurance policy for a given situation, or you just want some help kind of figuring out your financial plan, Mark's a great guy for that. And I highly endorse him to you. And so if you go to weekendappointment.com, you can find his contact information on there. And I encourage you to do that if you get a chance. And, of course, while you're on weekendappointment.com, make sure you sign up for your free will or free will review. You can't go wrong there. So I will see you after the break. This is Carl Rominger, the show's Weekend Appointment, where I answer your legal questions. And I'm looking forward to working with you here in a few minutes. Carl Rominger here, Weekend Appointment, show where I answer your legal questions. No idea what that music is, but I like it. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. I'll tell you what, my microphone is not plated with gold. I'll have you know that for a fact. Probably I don't even want to know what's plating this microphone because you have to eat the thing to talk into it. So, between RJ and Durgan and all the other people that come in here, I think if we swab this microphone, we might get a really interesting petri dish. Terry, you're on Weekend Appointment with Carl Rominger.
Hello.
Yes, what's going on?
Well, we have a couple questions. My husband is here also. We have this on speakerphone.
Okay, I can hear you.
Great. We've got a son who has Asperger's and some learning and processing disabilities.
Okay.
And he got into a thing with some younger kids that were like 17. What happened was apparently these kids stole some music equipment from a store, and a month later asked my son, which he didn't know anything about that.
Are you in your bathtub? You need some water in the background.
I can turn it off.
That's sorry.
That's okay. I'm just teasing you. All right, keep going. I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's our water fountain back here.
It's okay.
Anyway, so as I was saying, he didn't know this stuff was stolen. These kids said, "Can you take this to so-and-so's house? Help us. We need to have it taken somewhere. We don't have room for it."
Well, if you don't know it's stolen and you do something with it, you haven't committed a crime yet because you have to have knowledge.
Right. Well, that's my point. But, okay, I'll continue. I'm trying to make this as short and sweet as possible because I know you're busy. He took this to this person's house. This person said, "Oh, no, you can't keep that here. We don't want that here." So they took it to another person's house. They left it there. A couple months went by. This kid, the parents threw him out of his house and all sorts of stuff. So he wanted to sell this equipment so he could get some money because he needed money because, you're not allowed to throw a 17-year-old out of the house. But anyway, they sold this equipment or some of it. And the person who sold it was not underage.
Okay.
Now, the first kid that they brought this stuff to the house, they said, "No, you can't have it here." They talked him into blaming my son for stealing and doing this whole entire thing.
Right.
They feel they could get out of it that way. And it worked. My son got 10 million charges for everything under the sun. We did not speak to the police because we heard that they were going to blame him. And we went to a lawyer immediately who I wanted to go with him to the police, at least to try to clear it up. But with his Asperger's and his problems, and with that being the fact, we didn't want him to go speak to the detective. So, time goes on. Oh, there'll be a preliminary hearing. They did that. They waived the preliminary hearing. They never spoke to these people again. Now my son's being offered the ARD program because the lawyer sent through information all about my son's problems.
Well, the ARD program will allow him to avoid conviction, and so what the dilemma for a lot of times for us attorneys is even if we have an innocent person, we know because we've been around the block enough times that innocent people routinely go to jail.
Right.
So we get a little nervous and we say, well, rather than an innocent person get tagged with a criminal conviction, how about we, sidestep that by accepting the ARD program?
Right, and that's what they're doing, and that's what we actually go on Tuesday to do that.
So what's the question?
Well, question is, we have restitution that he is to pay.
Right.
Which the juveniles it's substantial money here. They're looking for a little more than $5,000. The juveniles were told to pay $200, and the lawyer that we have says there's no legal reason why they would only get paying that, and my son would get stuck with over $4,000 for this. Is there anything that we could or should, other than the hearing for that?
You could ask for a restitution hearing, yes. And theoretically, he should be jointly and severally liable with everybody else who was involved. So under the law, he would have a right of contribution. So he could actually sue them civilly for his right of contribution if he wanted. That just complicates things, though.
Right.
Sue who?
Sue the parties
that also were jointly and severally liable for restitution.
Right. So the other two kids. Okay.
But they're kids, and suing kids ain't worth spit, by the way.
Exactly. Next question. Is there anything that we can do as far as a suit against the police?
Nope.
Why not?
No. What did they do?
Well, I think they discriminated because they didn't charge the kid who actually sold these.
You can charge. Listen, 3 guys rob a bank. One can get charged. One can get a free pass, and one can be prosecuted and offered a guilty plea when the other one wasn't. They have absolute discretion. They don't have to charge everybody involved in an incident.
And there's no recourse for dismissal. We just are stuck with all this, even though he didn't do.
Well, if he really didn't do anything and he wants to, he's entitled to a trial.
I know.
And then if he's found not guilty, there's no restitution, which quite often is why I often end up in trials. Is I have a client that would accept a guilty plea, for instance, to a minor misdemeanor, but they don't want to pay $28,000 in restitution. So we got to go to the mattress, so to speak, and beat up on the DA's office so we can get our acquittal and stay out of the restitution.
Okay, so your advice is just stick with what we have and be happy with that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know enough about the case to tell you whether or not I would recommend ARD, but I can tell you that we usually recommend ARD. And worse, because the cost of a trial probably would exceed the restitution bill.
$5,000.
Yeah.
You're better off going the route you are.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. I wish I had better. I wish I could wave my magic wand to throw my fairy dust to make it all right. But I think you're doing the right thing, and I'm proud of you for getting an attorney in the first instance, and not just throwing your son to the wolves. I wish more parents would do what you guys did.
Absolutely.
Now, the ARD, can we get the restitution taken care of after that?
Yeah, at the time of ARD, what you should do is, your lawyer could potentially file a restitution hearing for the ARD and say, because they can't deny you ARD because you're unable to afford the restitution.
They cannot.
They cannot, although they won't tell you that's the reason they're going to do it. They'll say they want the restitution. So what you do is you wait till they give you the terms, and then you go back to them and say, we're good with everything except here's why he can't afford that. We want a restitution hearing.
Okay, because that's our main problem right now.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing is...
Shoot real fast. I got a lot of callers holding.
No, I'm sorry. We're paying this restitution. Now, the party was already paid from his insurance company.
Yeah, and then the money goes back to the insurance company.
Right, but the equipment was recovered. Does that become his possession if he's paying?
That's very interesting. If the equipment was recovered and is in good shape, then it should be property of the insurance company because they paid for it.
Okay, but they're charging my son for it. So what? I mean,
well, he has to pay. The insurance company's out money.
Right.
They don't really want the equipment. Now, theoretically, you're right. Maybe they should have to sell the equipment and deduct that from what they're owed.
Right.
But they're going to sell this equipment at some kind of auction where they sell it for $20. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
All right? That's part of your restitution hearing.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Show's Weekend Appointment. I'm Carl Rominger answering your legal questions. Shane, how much time do I have before I go into break here? 1 minute. So, Rocco, Bill, keep holding on here. Going to do my wrap up. All right, folks, remember, you need an attorney. Go to weekendappointment.com. Ask your questions throughout the week. I'll post answers there. I'm a little behind right now, but I swear, I pledge, I promise I'll catch up. They keep posting them. I keep answering them. So we got a nice little library there. Got a great little library of questions and answers. You can search it. You can browse it. You can contact other people on there. I highly recommend it. Over 2,000 some registered users. And, of course, you can get your free will there. Carl Rominger, the show's Weekend Appointment. I'll see you after the break. Hey, Carl Rominger here, answering your legal questions. If you've got a dilemma, you want to get out of a bad marriage, you've been hurt in an auto accident, or little, it makes me stroke my goatee, this song. A little ZZ Top. Good stuff, Shane. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yep. And who have we got next here? Rocco.
Yes, how you doing?
Good. What's going on, my friend?
Okay, I have a question here. I lost my job in December. Okay, so the doctor's been wanting me for the last 2 years to go on disability.
Okay.
Okay, I'm big and I have emphysema and I have sciatic arthritis. So what I did is I was collecting unemployment. And then I turned around and at the same time I filed for disability. June, I got accepted for disability. Now, they say that it doesn't hurt by collecting unemployment.
Right.
Okay. But now I also had insurance for my truck.
Okay.
Pay it off if I'd get disabled. Now, I'm wondering if matter of fact, I haven't called workman's comp or unemployment because I figure, I'm done with that because I got my disability. But now I try to get a hold of this insurance company, and they keep giving me the runaround, stating that they needed paperwork after paperwork, and I've been sending it in, and they still haven't really got back to me, and this has been going on 3 months.
Right.
Is there any special length of time that it takes for them to get back? Or
the short answer is no. That sounds like a long period of time. I would rattle their chain a little bit and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I keep calling them, and they just keep saying, well, we had to get a hold of your doctors. But both doctors send the paperwork in when they're supposed to.
Right.
Then they turn around and wanted my unemployment information, which I couldn't understand because I'm paying the premium for this insurance. And I didn't understand what that had to do with my unemployment.
And I don't know because I don't know the exact insurance contract you have with them.
Okay.
So it may be that they're entitled to some adjustment, offset, or they just want verification that you're not working. And since you're claiming unemployment, they want to verify it.
Okay, now I send that paperwork in.
Yeah.
And they still say that they need, paperwork, which they keep adding things on. And I'm just trying to figure out if I'm doing something wrong or.
No, you're getting the runaround, and you may just be dealing with somebody who's not very competent. That happens sometimes.
And this is protective life.
Yeah, and I don't know, or frankly, whoever the adjuster you're dealing with is just not doing their job. It might be time to call and ask for like the next level up.
Okay.
Or maybe send them. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying we had this with an insurance company not too long ago. Wouldn't get back to us in a lawsuit, and this adjuster was just being a complete pain in my behind. So what I did was I actually sent an email to the vice president of a major insurance company and said, "Hey, I got a major claim with you guys, and I can't get a realistic answer out of anybody." And all of a sudden, they had a new adjuster handling it, and I was getting all the flow of information I needed.
The reason I'm calling is because of now, with them not doing anything about it. This is, like I said, it's to pay off my truck, and with them not doing anything, and me only getting disability, what it is I'm using my 401k. Well, actually, it's my IRA, so I'm getting taxed more and more money. Because I'm paying more 30% taxes on it.
Right.
Plus, I'm taking that out just to pay my pay my bills. I already paid off my credit cards and all this other stuff with it, but my truck is what I'm trying to get at now.
Right, and you need it, right? Yeah, you need the money. I think it's time.
I need it paid off. Is what I need.
I think it's time to get down to brass tacks with them then.
Now, do you handle things like this? Or?
Yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to try to dig around and find out what's going on. Absolutely. Usually, what I would do is start by making a few phone calls and then and saying, "Listen, we need time frames, we need answers, we need to know what's going on." And a lot of times, suddenly, we're kind of like lubricant. They just suddenly unstick and go, "Oh, okay, sorry, we just we were just getting back to it." But you're sitting on somebody's desk somewhere. That's what's going on.
Okay. Now, one other thing is with this case. Now, should I call the dealer that I got the truck from and got the insurance from?
Yeah, I would absolutely do that.
Okay.
I absolutely do. Say, hey, I want to get this paid off. What are you doing? And see what they say.
Okay, because in the meantime, like I said, I had the money out of the 401k, but I have it sitting in a savings account. And because I also have my wife's truck, I was going to pay it off if this one gets paid.
I gotcha.
See, so because like I said, when you're only getting this, and you really can't, and they only allow you $1,000 a month extra.
Right, the flow's not.
It can work.
The cash flow's not so great. I understand.
Right.
All right, my friend.
And my wife's a waitress. It's not real good.
Right, and especially right now in this economy.
Okay, and then I can just get a hold of you because I live in Carlisle.
Yeah,
also.
just go to weekendappointment.com, look me up there, or just check information or the phone book, all right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Let's see here. Shane, how much time do I have left in this segment? Oh, I got plenty of time. Good. Because I know Gary's holding. I'm going to get to him in a second here. But, Bill, you're on Weekend Appointment with attorney Carl Rominger. Hey, Bill.
Oh, thanks a lot, Carl, for taking my call.
Thanks for holding.
Hey, for the first time in over 30 years, I got hit with a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, is it worth it to go to a hearing? I had some, quote, extenuating circumstances.
Always is. In fact, in my experience, if you have some good explanation, you can often work it out at the hearing.
Oh, okay. Would they reduce the fine or my record?
Yeah, the fines are funny. They're hard to knock down, but what we usually do is we get turned into a no-point offense.
Okay.
So it doesn't affect your insurance or your driver's record.
Oh, okay. And if things wouldn't turn out right?
Then you come see me.
Or on the back, sometimes it isn't just worth the hassle, but on the back where it indicates I plead guilty or whatever, if I put nolo contendere on there.
That won't affect in a traffic case the way you're treated by PennDOT or an insurance company.
Okay, or anything on my record.
Yep. Just get a sign just like normal.
Okay, but depending on what...
Plead not guilty, go to the hearing, see what happens.
Oh, okay. All right.
And there's some magic words you could use, but basically...
That's what I'm looking for.
And of course... and I know those magic words, but I'm not going to tell them to you for free. But that said, if you go there and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking, but I'll give you the not so specific magic words is I would really appreciate a no point offense, officer,
okay.
and that's the only reason I took the hearing. No disrespect to you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Hey, thanks again.
Thank you. All right, my friend.
Bye.
Yeah, I can't give away all the magic words, but. If you have a traffic ticket, and that never ceases to amaze me, people that are CDL drivers, pizza delivery folks, drive for a living or have to commute to work quite a bit, and they go, oh, well, I got these speeding tickets, and I sent them all in, Carl, but now I got this third one, and they're going to take my license. What do I do? And I go, oh, if you see me for ticket number 1 and ticket number 2, ticket number 3 wouldn't be a must-win. In fact, we probably would have resolved 1, and we would have resolved 2, and they wouldn't have been on your driver's record, and then the police officer wouldn't have been so sure you were a chronic speeder on ticket number 3. All right, I'll see you after the break. Hey! Welcome back. Carl Rominger here answering your legal questions. The show's Weekend Appointment. And if you're not a regular listener, you should be. And make sure you go to weekendappointment.com to claim your free will. Sign up so you can stay in contact with me. And don't forget to Facebook me if you think about it. Gary, you're on with Carl Rominger. How are you today?
All right, Carl. I talked to you a while ago about my wife being terminated from a job.
Yeah.
And you said that perhaps she could go after the vacation money that they refused to pay her?
Correct.
Well, I need an attorney for that?
I don't know. I mean, in terms of her vacation, if it was vested and she was owed it, then she would have a Wage Act claim, potentially, and your attorney's fees would be paid for as part of that claim. I have one of these right now I'm working on for somebody where they didn't pay some vacation time and some commissions, and I know the law has some pretty good teeth in it. The real problem is when your vacation is really like not an accrued vacation and there's just some understanding that you're going to have that time off, or where there's a contract that says you got to be employed, otherwise you lose your vacations. Do they have a handbook or anything?
Well, the handbook says if you give them notice that you're going to quit, and you work out your notice, you will get your PTO time.
Gotcha.
But if you are terminated, you don't get it.
Gotcha. And, of course, we're going to argue that she wasn't actually terminated, that they just did this to dodge paying her. In other words, if she was terminated in a way that was not in good faith, then you would argue that was unfair, that she wasn't terminated for cause.
Right.
And therefore she should get her PTO time.
She should get her PTO time because they had the option of the offense that she done. They had the option of getting her a suspension or terminating her, and they chose to terminate her and not pursue anyone else that was involved. Right,
which is interesting, though, because if they were entitled to terminate her, that may be sufficient to kill the vacation, even though the failure to treat all employees equally might be a defense for the unemployment compensation because they're really two separate bodies of law.
Okay.
So it might be worth pursuing. The other thing in my experience is if you pursue it, they know they're going to incur costs. So, for instance, if I call them up and say, hey, I've been hired by this client to pursue her $3,000, sometimes they might say, well, I'll tell you what, lawyer, we think we're going to win, but we'll give her $1,000 just to make you go away.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay, well, I think she was terminated partially without cause because of the way it was done.
Understand.
And I appreciate talking to you.
Not a problem, Gary. And if you need anything else, look me up on weekendappointment.com.
I'll do that.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, folks, I mean, you have all these interplays and bodies of law. So, for instance, the child custody courts and the support courts all involve children and the same parties, but neither one seems to care what the other one's doing at any given moment. The support judge will be like, I'm not custody. And the custody judge will be like, I don't have much to do with support. You're going to have to go to domestic relations for that. Florida, some other states, they combine all that together. It's a little more common sense approach, I think. Now, Pennsylvania is trying in some counties to do family law dockets where everything's consolidated in front of one judge. So your support matter, your custody matter, your divorce, and your PFA, and whatever other family law file you might create are all bundled together in one docket so the judge can kind of see the whole picture rather than just getting the bits and pieces that they often do. Very interesting concept. It's kind of a good leap forward in our court system. But they're not doing it everywhere, and frankly, a lot of times the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. Now, back to employment law. You've got the overlay of discrimination. You've got the overlay of the Wage Acts, the Family Medical Leave Act, the Pennsylvania Unemployment Compensation Law, the disability law, if there's disability insurance. Are you getting the point here, folks? You're getting the point that there's so many different bodies of law, and you may have a remedy in one and not in the other. And what will be excluding you from a remedy in one may be the very thing that gives you a remedy in the other. And I know that sounds silly, but the point of the matter is that each one's different. So when our lady was talking, her husband was talking about his lady's vacation problem, whether she's entitled to be paid for the vacation because she was discharged for cause may be one interpretation under the manual and the agreement with the employer. On the other hand, the question for unemployment compensation purposes, she may be able to successfully argue that she was terminated for something that was really not a terminable offense because they treated other people with important point. Similar disciplinary records the same way. So you can't complain if they fire you and they don't fire the other 5 people involved, because this is your 7th strike and none of the other people ever did anything wrong. But if you're all on relatively equal footing and they only fire one of you, then that is a good argument that you were discharged for something that is not generally a dischargeable offense because they didn't discharge anybody else. But if they can say, well, actually, when we confronted all of them, and while they all have similar histories, this is the only one who freaked out and swore at the supervisor and told him I did what I did because I wanted to do it and was remorseless, then they might prevail. So it kind of shifts back and forth. But back to unemployment in general, if you think you have an unemployment issue and you file for it and the employer sends back a letter and you're denied by the servicing center, why file the appeal? If you've lost, file the appeal. Maybe the employer won't show up. It's their burden. Classic amateur mistake, right? You show up there, you don't have to answer any questions. What I usually do, if it's just me and my client and the employer hasn't shown, I do call the client and I have the client say, did you ever do anything wrong at work? Nope. Okay. Or did you quit? Did you willfully quit and walk out and without giving notice, etc.? Nope. You have no idea why your employer terminated you? Nope. Or whatever's appropriate. But I always like to build just a touch of a record. But the reality is you could say nothing. You can then say the burden of proof is on the employer to prove that the discharge was for willful misconduct. Although you have to be careful to see who the burden's on, okay? And that's why, again, lawyers are important. Burden, your burden of persuasion, your presumptions. These are all crazy little legal terms that I have to swim through. But when I'm lining up a legal problem, what I have to figure out is what is my burden of proof, but also what is my burden of persuasion? What things must I show the judge? And then do I get a rebuttable presumption, or do I have certain presumptions that apply if I can put certain evidence in? And what will the other side do to rebut those presumptions or create a presumption in their favor? What would I have to do to overcome those? So these are all the kinds of things you have to be thinking about, which is why I want to kind of tie this back in. Is you got all these bodies of law that interact. You've got all these different little procedural rules, rules of evidence, rules of civil procedure, rules of criminal procedure. A subpoena is not the same under any of the different rules of procedure. The rules of civil procedure carefully spell out different kinds of subpoenas, for the most part. The rules of criminal procedure don't even tell you what the subpoena should look like or what it should contain. So there's a lot of local practice involved in that. So if you get a chance, make sure you stop by and check out weekendappointment.com. Make sure you sign up for that free will. If you haven't signed up for the free will, you need to. And you need to come see me because we actually go over a real live consultation where I go over your will and your estate and all those good things with you, explain to you how it all works. And anybody who's been through it will tell you it's not that big of a deal. Anyhow, this has been Carl Rominger, the show's Weekend Appointment. I look forward to working with you in the future, and I will see you next week.